Hola amigos, this is level 12, and today we are going to be talking about my Hetalia Headcanons. Now, this was actually requested of me from someone on Instagram. Their cosplay handle is Snow Amethyst Cosplay, if I'm correct, and instead of spaces there's the underscore. You may know her as Creamy Maple on YouTube, but her new cosplay account is Snow Amethyst Cosplay, and so she asked me, probably in early July, could you do a video based on your Hetalia headcanons? And I'm like, well, I don't have many of them. I have videos about my YouTube AU and my headcanons for the 2Ps, and I think that's it for headcanon videos. I'll link them all below, but I don't really have that many Hetalia headcanons, which is partially why it took so long for this video to come out. Also, I wanted to get the World War I series out of the way, and it's done with, so we're good. Also, before I finally end this very long intro, if you have any video requests, just leave them in the comments. I'll more than likely do them if they're interesting and feasible. So, the first one that I have, the first one that I thought of because I wrote them all down, are England and France are smokers. Now, I think the only character in Hetalia that canonically smokes is the Netherlands. The Ottoman Empire may, or Turkey may as well, too. I'm not entirely sure on that front, but I've seen so much fan art of just England and France smoking, and if I'm going to think of countries that smoke very casually, England, France, and America are kind of the ones that come to my head first, but America just seems too innocent to pick up such a bad habit, and I consider England and France to be two of the oldest countries next to, like, China and Turkey, which is why I think Turkey might also smoke. But I don't know. I know some people find smoking attractive, which I don't. Maybe don't smoke. It's bad for your lungs and causes cancer. But if people want their characters to smoke, that's a perfectly normal habit for people to have. Is it a good one? Not necessarily. But I figure because they're old and their nerves are pretty shot. I'm pretty sure France is like 26 in the show, and England might be like 25. They're old. Their nerves are shot. They need to take a quick little smoke break. And I think smoking in both countries was actually considered like a good habit to have at one point. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, people considered smoking to be a good thing. It's more so in the recent times that smoking has been like, oh, maybe that's bad. But I at least know that's why some of the original colonies were made, were for the tobacco. I know you, John Rolfe. He's the guy that capitalized on selling tobacco. But yeah, I just think of them as smoking, not in like a sexy way, but in a way that, like, they just do it out of habit because they've been doing it for so long. Next are the Face and the Sufin family, and Face specifically has to be when America and Canada are children. I think it's a very cute family for France and England to have, of they have both just conquered, taken over America and Canada, and they're now like, oh, we both own these colonies, guess we gotta parent together. And I know there were other countries in there, but it was mostly France and England that had the big spiraling empires in America and Canada. And I just think it's very cute that they have to, like, make it work together. And sometimes I headcanon it as them, like, parenting together. Sometimes I headcanon it as their divorce. But the entire idea of the Face family of America and Canada being parented by both France and England is very cute in my mind. Next is Sufin. I love Sufin. If it wasn't for Sweden's personality and Finland's personality, I would hate all of the Nordics. The Nordics need their own video as to why I don't like them very much, but, like, Sweden and Finland I love very much. And I love the idea of them having a family, of Finland being this very, like, super nice mom character and being super, like, loving and endearing, and then Sweden being very, you know, a loving father, but he has this kind of hard exterior, even if it's not, like, on purpose, but he is a very loving father. And I know some people don't include Ladonia in the Sufin family, but I feel like that's a little that's a little unfair to Ladonia because I love Ladonia and Sweden's interactions. If it wasn't for Sweden's interactions with Ladonia, I would not like this. I would not like Ladonia at all. And then Sealand just like being extra, Sweden being the good daddy is, and just making both boys happy. It's very cute, and I love it very much. And then Finland's just out there being a good mom character, and it's so cute, and I love it. Next is France does work as a tour guide. This is based off of two things, actually. One of them is his Très Bien song. Oh, I can't pronounce it. It's French. And then the other one is the Joan of Arc episode, where he just, like, shows that one girl that looks like Joan of Arc all around, like, the France and the Joan of Arc memorials. I think he would really enjoy working as a tour guide because, one, he very clearly loves his country and he loves being a Frenchman, but I think he would just have so much fun taking around tourists, especially like college-aged people, and being like, this is France, this is the beauty of the city, look at the Seine River and the Eiffel Tower and all the like fancy art museums and all that jazz. And he would just really love doing it because, one, he loves his country, and two, he loves interacting with people. And I think he would be pretty good at it. Not just because he's, you know, quite literally France, but, you know, I think he would have the spunk and the gumption to do it, and it would just be great. Next is Prussia third wheels at Austria-Hungary's house. Now, I think I've stated before, I don't particularly care for, like, love triangle things. This one I can kind of get behind, because I like Hungary with Austria, and I like Hungary with Prussia as well, but more so with Austria, and I think Hungary would prefer to be with Austria, but Prussia is still very annoying to these two and will, like, randomly crash at their house, and, like, both people do not want him to do that, but they let him do it anyway because they're really close friends and all that stuff, and I think it's kind of cute, not gonna lie. And Prussia just randomly goes there, and Austria-Hungary are like, Prussia, what are you doing here? And then Austria, he gets upset at first, but he pretty much gets over it. But Hungary, she's like on edge most of the time until like right up until he leaves. I love the idea of Prussia just crashing at their house for a couple days because he's bored. And then I have a bunch of other Prussia headcanons. I have so many Prussia headcanons because whenever I would roleplay, Prussia was my main. I used to main, the characters I would play the most were Prussia, France, and Lithuania. But Prussia the most. Which, fun fact, I used to hate Prussia. I think I even have a video, and he's the #1 character that I hate. And because I used to write for him so much, granted, part of my thinking of Prussia isn't canon anymore because of how much I used to write for him, but Prussia, my boy, my man, my son. This character means so much to me now because I used to write for him. He's a comfort character, and his design is so just out there, and I love it. And so I have so many other headcanons for him, and I've grown to love him so much. So my first one that I wrote down was that Prussia plays the electric guitar. I don't think I ever actually used this when I wrote for him, that he was like a really good musician, but I've read other stories and other starters of Prussia, you know, having a band or wanting to start a band or being a rock star, and I've seen so much fan art of him with an electric guitar that I just think he knows how to play one just for the heck of it. Also, I think rock music during Soviet Union era time was a way to, like, you know, get back at the communists. So rock music, obviously, electric guitars, that kind of stuff. Also, he's a stoner. Even though smoking weed and all that, I don't really vibe with. I don't think it's a good habit to pick up. A lot of characters I write turn out to be not stoners, but people that like to smoke weed. He's one of them that I've headcanon to, you know, smoke weed, and it's a thing. Sometimes, depending on the situation, he smokes more weed than other times, but, you know, we'll let that slide. And then finally, he's really good with cars. So something that I always hated writing was like jobs for characters, because I always want them to have grandiose jobs, but a lot of people like to do, you know, Sims kind of playing where you start with like rags to riches kind of thing. So I just made him really good with cars, and I think that might actually work because there's a lot of German car companies. I'm thinking of Audi right now, but there are more German car companies, like Volkswagen I think is another German car company. But in any event, I just think of him being very good with cars. And another reason I think he would be very like a mechanic type person is I'm pretty sure East Germany, when it was under the Soviet rule, didn't get new car parts, so they had to, like, if they saw a car, they would just have to make it from the images they saw. I feel like that's something that happened. I've at least heard of that happening in Soviet Union era in those kind of countries, so he's good with cars. There are others that I can't think of right now and that I didn't put on the list, but I think I've also played him being very good at basketball. Like, I think one time I had to have a sport for him to play, and I'm pretty sure I picked basketball, and I always pick basketball. I have no idea why. I've never heard of Germany or like any kind of German country being good at basketball, but I'm just like, Prussia, who I headcanon in my head to be like 5'8", 5'9", to be a basketball player. And granted, I know a 5'3" guy who plays basketball. His job is to fall on the ground, but I know a guy. So yeah, I just have a bunch of headcanons, and if I were to like write out a starter and try and put as many of the little quirks I did when I would write for Prussia, I would put them all in there. But you know, I love Prussia so much, and it's simply due to the fact because I would write him so much, because he's a really easy character to like write for, in my opinion, because there's so much to work with, because he has so much lore and fantasy behind him, more so than like England's very stuck in a very rigid tsundere box, and if you take him out of that box, you can either play too much into the tsundere, or you can like write England completely out of character, and Prussia is just a very easy character to write for. Oh my gosh. So those are all my Hetalia headcanons. I know they're not a lot. I know some people have thousands of headcanons and they're all super great, and I just don't have that time or ability or whatever. I'm very lazy, and if I'm not actively writing a fan fiction, I will not have said headcanon down, so forgive me. In any event, I really hope you guys like this video. Tell me your headcanons in the comments below. I really love reading headcanons, and if I read a headcanon that will like be good enough, my mind will like secretly absorb it and like make it canon by accident. That has happened before. I don't think I've gotten called out on it, but I'll rewatch a video and I'm like, oh, that's someone's headcanon. That's not true. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe for more random fandom things. Ciao, chicos.